Welcome back, everybody, to another review with Jeff. This time around, I am going forward with Babylon 5, The Road Home. I don't have the 4K version, I just have the standard Blu-ray. And just for a little, background, when Babylon 5 first came out a lot of years ago, yeah, I'm not old, but I'm not going to edit this video, so I'm going to just go ahead and just throw it on out there. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I've maybe watched maybe a grand total of 3, maybe 4 episodes, enough to know, like, I know who, like, Garibaldi is, I know who Sheridan is, I know who Gakar is, and whatnot. I like the names are memorable, the looks are very memorable, but I wasn't like the biggest fan of it. And in fair comparison, I was also not a fan of Deep Space Nine at the time. It was probably outside of my age range. I was like junior high, high school, and I wasn't really a big fan of either. At the time, I think I was more into something a little more serious with my science fiction without being too serious. Like, you got political dramas going on. Like, today, I would totally appreciate these series. And Babylon 5 is getting a full complete series release later this year. And I am looking forward to actually giving that a go. And I'm very open and honest that I wasn't the biggest fan. I actually like the Crusade show that followed up, that I know a lot of people are not like the biggest fan of, but it's got Gary Cole in it. It's got quite a few people in it, and that I've followed for years. Like, even the bald guy was in Brimstone. He was the priest in the pilot episode. And so I've been a fan of a lot of those actors, and I actually really enjoyed the show because it wasn't so stationary. But just to throw that out there, like, I was not the biggest fan of this show, and like years later, I think I'm finally ready to give it a tackle. I know it's been on streaming services and whatnot, but I haven't always been like the most itchy to go check it out. I wanted to grow up more because I know tastes and opinions change over the years. And when I got this, I wasn't going to go with the 4K largely because I'm like, well, if I don't like it, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll probably give it away or something. I won't feel as bad that I spent the extra money on a 4K. I'm going to go ahead and say, I wish I bought it. I wish I would have bought the 4K because this movie is terrific. Now, it's more like an extended bottle episode, and it gives enough of a recap of the show in like the first like 10 minutes ish, but then it gets right to the story. But the humor and the dialogue are super good in this movie. And I don't know what like Babylon 5 fans would think of this movie. I haven't looked at any reviews. I haven't looked at any opinions. I wanted to go in on this blind. And like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of the show. This animated movie is excellent. This kind of fits the sweet touch and the sweet spot that I like out of my science fiction. And even in the making of, J. Michael Straczynski indicates that he's got other stories ready for this franchise. I would prefer to see more live action, to be honest with you. I think space science fiction is grossly missing from TV these days. The last one we had that was any sort of good was The Expanse, and that's not even on Prime anymore. They pretty much ended that with a okay season 6. But with The Road Home, like, it very much plays like if you're a fan of like Quantum Leap, like Sliders, it does a bunch of time jumping, reality jumping, but without being too much. And I know people are going to complain about multiverse this, multiverse that. This does not treat that like you're a moron. And it doesn't treat the characters like they're idiots. There's quite a few references where they indicate, I'm from another timeline, I'm from another reality. And within a few seconds, they're like, okay, I gotcha. Let's get moving with the story. Like, they don't spend time like trying to be dumb about like, oh, alternate reality, that's so stupid. Like, it does not make fun of itself, and it does not dwell on it so much that the story stops moving. Now, at the core of this movie, it's pretty much a love story. It feels like you're getting a little play on like The Fifth Element. And now I know I keep saying like it plays off of Quantum Leap and Sliders. It plays off of The Fifth Element. those are stories that haven't been told effectively in quite a few years. And I would argue that this is the kind of movie that really we should get more of. So I think they did a great job with the writing of this movie. The voice acting, they got as many of the original actors that were alive back. Bruce Boxleitner. I'm trying not to speak so fast because I want to keep this review short, sweet, to the point. And I think like the story is fantastic. Even though it's a bottle episode, doesn't really move any storyline forward from the show and the television movies. Doesn't even reference Crusade. Not even required. But this is such a fun movie that it treats the audience and everybody with respect, and it brings casual people who may not know the show. This is a good introduction to make you think, hey, maybe I want to check that show out. And of course, it does indicate like the complete series is coming out at the end of the year. It actually says available now on the disc, which is kind of funny. Makes me think that something got bumped in a timeline or got moved up. But that said, I've gone over the story. The characters are great. The voice acting is outstanding. If you want subtitles, they got the standard ones on there for English, French. I forgot what the other one was. As far as picture quality goes, this is pretty. It takes a minute to get used to the animation. It's very much like a DC animated feature, but like the space stations, the ships, all of the worlds, everything is so stunning. It's like, man, where was that kind of budget for this show like years ago? Because back then that was one of my arguments, that the show, the special effects were very odd. But that's a product of its time. I do not hold that against the show like these days. But back when it first aired, I'm like, yeah, I kind of like the way Star Trek looks, but even DS9 ain't working for me. So I just got to say, like, looks great. Blu-ray looks outstanding. I can only assume the 4K looks 10 times better. The audio is outstanding. I had my 5 speakers rocking, just dandy, and they did some really good sound mixing and design on this. And as far as quality of release, I love the slipcover. I don't like the sticker. I'm trying to take it off. I know how to get it off by other methods, but usually I like to try and like flake it and peel it off if I can. That's not going to happen. And I've seen other, in stores and on other videos of like the sticker being all over the slipcover. That's ridiculous. The other thing to note about the quality of this release, and I will complain about this all the time, is echo cases. So buyer beware, you're getting an echo case where they basically got all that open space, and if somebody pinches that case, it's going to wreck your cover art. Yes, it's got a slip cover, but it will damage the slip cover as well. I generally switch these out, but I probably will. I think I got some cases around here. They're probably all clear though, but we'll see. I might want to upgrade to the 4K at some point, but this is a fun, good quality science fiction movie. This hits a sweet spot for me. I haven't seen a movie like this in a very long time, and it's nice to see that JMS is still out there, still championing this, and like the whole movie is just extremely well done. I will take points off. I feel like the movie was a little bit rushed at times, but overall the theme of love and how everything played out, I'm not going to spoiler the movie for you. So if you're looking for that kind of video, I ain't that guy. I will get into some story aspects, but I will not spoil things for you. But the movie starts, begins, and ends very well. So it's very well constructed. Editing is tight. Really like it. Could have been 10 more minutes. I think they could have worked a little bit better on the human animation. Felt a little clunky at times, but by about halfway through the movie, it was very smooth. So if you're looking for a fun space science fiction movie that is relevant to an old franchise that should get more, and hopefully it does, then Babylon 5, The Road Home, is your ticket. I'm going to give this a solid buy. I'm not going to say rent. I'm not going to say pitch it. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. It's a beautiful movie, fun movie, and well worth being in your collection. All right. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast.
We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.